Okay, welcome to video number 5, and I believe it's also station number 5. Let me double check that. Yes, station number 5, multiplying and dividing decimals. So we're going to go to our cover page, to our table of contents, and we are going to write multiply and divide decimals. Let me choose another color here. Let's do red. Multiply and divide decimals. That's going to be page number 5 in your journal. So we will go, you should have 1, 2, 3. You might not have 4 yet. Make sure you skip a place for 4, skip a page, and go to station number 5. Okay, so this is multiply and divide decimals. Now the rules are different for multiplying and dividing decimals, as they are for adding and subtracting. In adding and subtracting, the number 1 rule is line the decimals up. That is not the rule in multiplying and dividing decimals. So let's make a note that we do not line up the decimals. Okay, we're not going to be adding zeros and lining up the decimals like we did for addition and subtraction. So for multiplication, it's going to look like this. We'll start with 4,377 times 0. Actually, I'm going to put 2 zeros, 0.5. It's 0.5. So if we know, one thing that we need to know about decimals when we multiply by a decimal is that our original number, when we multiply a whole number times a decimal that does not have anything in the ones digit, it's only a decimal point, we're actually, this 0.5 is also equal to 1/2 is also equal to 50%. So what we should think about when we're looking at this decimal point with no digit in any of the whole number places is that our answer should come out to be smaller than our original number. When we multiply by a decimal, our number is going to get smaller. Okay, so we are gonna multiply just like normal. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 5 is 35 plus 3 is 38. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 3 is 18. And 5 times 4 is 20 plus 1 is 21. So we have our number here, and if we look at this 21,885, we're like, wow, that is a lot bigger than 4,377. But we have not added our decimal place yet. We have 1 digit behind a decimal. There's only 1 place behind a decimal here. So I'm going to count over 1 place, and I'm going to put my decimal there. That makes a huge difference in the value of the number. Now I'm looking at 2,188.5. And if we're using just a little bit of mental math, half of 4,000 is 2,000. And so we're looking, we're good. To me, that's really all we need to do as an estimation or a double check. Let's go ahead and do another example where I have a whole number. So this example is going to be 369 times 2.2, or 2 2/10. Now, if I had decimal places in the top number, I would count those over also, just like I will count over the decimal places here. So let's go ahead and actually, I'm going to add a decimal here. and show you that for example. So 9 times 2 is 18. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now I'm going to add a 0, and I'm going to multiply my second row. 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So now that I've multiplied both of my rows, I can go ahead and add. 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And 7 plus 1 is 8. Now to add my decimal, I'm going to have to move over one decimal place here and one here. So that means I need to move it over 2 places. Just so you know, on the worksheet, on the cross number puzzle that looks like this, the problem that I'm actually doing is the 369 times 2.2. So when you are working this with your group, I need you to realize that you will only move that one decimal place. The answer will be the same, but the decimal point goes in between the 1 and the 8, not the 1 and the 1. But I just wanted to show you an example that had decimals in both places. All right, so now these are our multiply examples, and we're going to go on to dividing decimals. Okay, so for our dividing decimal examples, number 1 is going to be 334.64 thousandths divided by 4.7. Oops, sorry, I know you can't see that. So here we go. So first thing we're going to have to do is rewrite it correctly. 334 hundredths divided by 4.7. Now, we cannot begin to divide with the decimal point outside of the box. Okay, so the decimal point must move over to the right one time. We have to move it over here. Now, we can't move that decimal point over here just by doing that. We have to move it over here also. And basically what we are doing is we're multiplying times 10. We're multiplying both of our numbers times 10. So 4.7 times 10 is 47. Now, it's only allowed because I'm doing it in both places. Now, when I do that there, then I want to bring my decimal point straight up. Okay, so now I can go ahead and divide. So 47 doesn't go into 3. It doesn't go into 33. So we need to decide how many times it's going to go into 334. Well, what I'm going to think about is 47 is pretty close to 50, so I'm going to go by 50, and I'm going to say 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350. So let's see. 47 may go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, between 6 and 7 times. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure which one that's going to be. So I'm going to take 47 and I'm going to multiply it by, let's do 7, because if it's too large, then we'll go to 6. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 4 is 28. 29, 30, 31, 32. 329. So I do know that 329 is less than 334. So I'm pretty safe to go ahead and put a 7. So I just multiplied 7 times 47 and I got 329. So I'll use that there. I'm going to go ahead and subtract. I can't subtract 4 minus 9, so I'm going to have to borrow from the 3. It becomes a 2. The 4 becomes a 14. 14 minus 9 will give me 5. 2 minus 2 is 0. 3 minus 3 is 0. So now I have a 5, and I have to bring down my next value, my 6. 47 will only go into 56 one time. 1 times 47 is 47. When I subtract 6, I can't subtract 6 minus 7. I will have to turn my 6 into a 16. And my 5 becomes a 4. So 16 minus 7 is going to give me 9. 4 minus 4 is 0. Now I'm going to bring down my last digit over here. And I need to find out if 47 will go into 94 evenly. 47 times 2, because I need to know. I know it won't go more than twice. 7 times 2 is 14. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So that actually is perfect. So I'm going to put a 2 up here. 47 goes into 94 2 times. 2 times 47 is 94. So we are finished at that point. Our answer is 71.2. Notice that my decimal, I didn't count decimal places with division. There's no counting decimal places. Here we do count decimal places. Here we need to bring decimal straight up. Okay, and we also need to write a note that there are no decimal values in, let's say, outside the box. Okay, so the number that we're dividing by, there can be no decimal places there. We get rid of that by multiplying by 10. Okay, thank you very much. That's the last video for this week.